Hey. Oh, yeah. How do I get a like if there's nobody in the chat? I never understand that. There'd be 0 people in the chat, but I get like 2 or 3 likes. Something I really don't understand. I hope you guys can hear me this time because I did like a 20-minute live earlier and apparently the microphone wasn't on or something. I'm just sitting up at the office getting ready to pretty much go home for the night, have my dinner, and figured I would happy Tuesday. Hey everyone. What's up, Daniel? Happy Tuesday, man. I'm just getting ready to get off work myself, leave the office. Sometimes I jump on and I see if anybody has any questions about mental health or what a therapist does, what therapy's like, different types of therapy, anything like that. Hey, Wissam, how are you? Sam. Because I'll be honest, before I started doing therapy, I had no idea what it was. I thought it was one thing, and it turns out it's a completely different, something completely different. So if anybody has any questions about why you would do therapy or anything like that, the different types of therapy. What is a psychologist's job? Well, there's different jobs. There's different types of psychologists as well. Psychology is a really, really broad field. So you can have like a forensic psychologist or a psychologist who just studies and identifies pathology, or you could have a positive psychologist, for example. It just depends on what field of psychology you go into and what your job's going to be. There's no like distinct psychologist. Like not every psychologist is the same, is basically what I'm saying. So depending on that, and a lot of times if you have psychology training, you're also going to have different training. So you'll have like trauma training. Like I have psychology background, but I'm also trained in trauma. I'm also trained in cognitive behavioral therapy. So my job as a psychologist is a behavioral therapist. But there's other behavioral therapists who aren't psychologists, and there's other psychologists who aren't behavioral therapists. But that's a great question. That's a great question. What other questions you guys got? I like answering questions. Happy Tuesday, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Tonight, my job is to just sit here and answer questions for people that have anything to do with mental health or therapy modalities, therapy treatment plans, different paths of treatment, different formulations, theoretical formulations, that is. That's a big part of my job. Like I'll sit down with somebody in an initial assessment, and then through that assessment, I'll form what they call a theoretical formulation, and that's going to result in usually a diagnosis, because part of the assessment's diagnostic assessments as well. So I will sit there and form a theoretical formulation, and then based on that, we'll form a treatment plan and assign different modalities of treatment, whether it's psychotherapy, psychoeducation, trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, humanistic psychology, existential psychology, family systems therapy. There's all kinds of different modalities that you can assign or apply to a treatment plan based on that assessment, based on that theoretical formulation. How can I not care about people's opinions on me? Well, you have to solidify your opinion on yourself, and so you have to basically self-validate. And there's more than one way, but I would pursue self-validation through something you could look at, and that requires a lot of positive psychology as well. So you would be doing you would understand yourself better, doing strengths assessments, doing personality assessments, values assessments, and coming up with a profile of yourself. And then you would basically build towards a better future and validate yourself through that process. And then basically you're commanding respect there. You wouldn't, they say like lions don't entertain the opinions of sheep. You would fall under that school of thought. That's a great question though. A lot of people get caught up in that. They're very they're high in trait neuroticism. How can I get myself to ignore haters? I don't know. You have to evaluate yourself. Are you a hater yourself? A lot of times you have to be selective with your enemies. All right, you don't want to have weak enemies, because that's going to be indicative of you being weak yourself. So you need to evaluate your enemy process and your hater, who you would qualify a hater. Because if somebody can't hold you back, if they're not in a position of authority in your life, they're not haters. They're just not. You're being petty there. So accountability is probably your answer there. You need to be more accountable. Thank you. Also, do you believe in laws of the universe? You got to be more specific about that. Yeah, you have to be more. I believe in the law of gratitude, and that's basically saying the more gratitude you have, the more you win. And you're welcome, Chris. And I believe in the law of accountability too, and that means the more accountable you are, and this takes creativity to be accountable and to express gratitude. You basically develop faster through accountability and through gratitude, and those are universal laws. I appreciate it, Chris. That's awesome. That's awesome. My content sucks. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a content creator. I don't edit. I don't make thumbnails. I just take one shoot and I upload it for whoever it might resonate with that day. I'd like to get better at content creation and actually put some of my real stuff online, but I just haven't yet. It's funny too, because I've amassed a couple hundred followers just messing around on there. So that's cool, man. I appreciate the subscription and the interaction as well. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Yeah, take care, brother. Take care. How's everybody doing anyways? My life's going crazy right now. It's funny if you're following me and you got into any of my lives over the past couple of days, you know kind of what I'm going through. It's sort of what I've put myself into. I talking about accountability. Like I've really took a sharp right lately in my life. What's the best way to be confident? Well, we got to make sure when we're using these types of language like confidence that we're talking about the same thing. First of all, hope you're okay. Yeah, I'll be all right, man. I mean, I got the fundamentals right. I'll get into that later, though. I'll answer your question first. Confidence is built through habitual construction. So you're honoring that, and habitual construction is built through integrity. So integrity is basically equivalent to confidence, and that's going to be able to, and confidence, the main thing with confidence is it's a byproduct of competence. That's where integrity and habitual construction come into play. Confident, like loving yourself. See, I'm talking confidence and competence. You're talking about self-love. That confidence and self-love don't really have anything to do with it. Trust does. So you would target trust, and trust is targeted through vulnerability. So you probably not knowing you at all, not even knowing if you're trolling me either. If I would assume you're somebody who puts up walls in your life, and when you are faced with a challenge, you just like to smash through the challenge. You don't let nobody ever see you sweat. So you would want to work on self-love through vulnerability and being vulnerability and learning to, and this is an EQ formula here. You're going to heal self-image and self-worth through the EQ, and high-level emotional intelligence is forgiveness. That's the highest level of empathy, is actually forgiveness, self-forgiveness. So you would start there. It would be internal work. I mean, obviously, right? But that's basically it. You have to tear them walls down. And in doing so, there's hardware to this. In doing so, you would identify defense mechanisms, whether it's avoidance, withdrawal, all or nothing thinking, and feel free to Google defense mechanisms. There's a bunch of them, dozens of them or so. But you would identify those and tear those down and replace them with true safety skills, true coping mechanisms, such as self-defense. So you would learn core strength, you would learn balance, you would learn to articulate your emotions. And by doing so, you would develop love for thyself. So, hey, great question, man. Great question. Anyways, I think I'm going to jump off here. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the questions, and awesome, brother. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you later.